Hey guys, my first viewers comments video got quite a bit of traffic and I really got some great responses. I must thank Rizaka116 for his question, what about how to be a good bassist video? That's a fantastic suggestion. You asked for it, you got it. Be careful what you wish for. Bassists. Nothing raises my hackles in utter contempt like a bass player. The murderers of music, the exterminators of entertainment, the demolishers of dreams, the executioners of enjoyment. If there's one thing I dread more than anything in the studio, it's recording the meathead known as the bass player. When most bands form, it's usually a group of friends, and it typically goes like this. The talented guys play guitar and drums. The guy who can't play at all winds up as manager, and the shitty guitar player winds up on bass. Now the problem here is that the role of the bass guitar in a band is rarely given the respect and importance that it deserves. Bass guitar not only adds bottom to the guitars, it also locks in with the drums, and this is incredibly important in metal. A great bass tone performed by a competent bass player will make your band sound huge. It will add girth to the drums and a gigantic bottom to the guitars, creating a massive mix.
In the darkness, there it has like the heat on a summer's night.
So when you put the shitty guitar player on bass, you wind up with a shitty bass player. And guess what? Your whole band sounds weak. One doesn't have to look very far to see great bass guitar players in metal. For example, Steve Harris, Geezer Butler, Cliff Burton, and Billy Gould from Faith No More. And you don't have to look very far to find some lousy ones either. Nikki Sixx was notorious for not being able to play his bass very well on the first couple of Motley Crue records. And to his credit, he did get better. But you don't have to be a shredder to be a good bass player. I look at Ian Hill from Judas Priest as a great example. This guy has had a 40-year career playing to massive audiences all over the world. He creates tension when it's needed, yet keeps his playing simple, in key, and on time. And by doing so, he became the foundation of the band. And if you want to play bass in a metal band, that should be your first goal. Be the foundation. Be the guy who's always on time and in key. So when things get crazy on stage, everybody looks to you. Be the reliable one, because bass guitar should never be approached as guitar, but lower. A bass can counterpoint a guitar riff, or stay on a root note, and it can create tension and release. Bass is also about working with the drums, driving the rhythm, and accentuating the fills. So when I work with a bass player in the studio, I'm looking for two things: knowledge of the song and technique. If you don't know how a song goes, if you don't know the arrangement, if you don't know how long a verse goes before a chorus, how many choruses, that sort of thing, then don't come into the studio! You're just wasting everyone's time and money. Practice your shit! You should be able to play everything with ease before you walk into a studio, because a studio is for capturing a great performance. It's not the place for learning a song. That's what rehearsal's for. As for technique, this gets lost on a lot of people. The strings on a bass guitar are much larger than a regular guitar. That means more energy goes into making them move. That energy also bleeds all over the place, creating sympathetic vibrations on the other strings, usually out of key. So when I talk about good bass technique, I not only mean the notes that are being played, but equal importance must be given to what's not being played. A bass player needs to learn to mute the strings at rest so they stay silent. This can be used by the pick hand or the fretting hand or by a combination of both. It's critical to learn good muting technique. Otherwise, it dilutes the overall sound of the band. Out-of-key strings buzzing away sound like absolute shit. And the reason I hate bass players so much is because they usually miss the obvious. It's a lack of motivation in tandem with deficient intelligence. It really pisses me off when a meathead comes in the studio, doesn't know his material, and expects me to fix everything. The instant rock star button does not exist. If you want it, you're gonna have to work for it. And what's really aggravating is that I see people with genuine mental disabilities far more motivated than these jackasses. It's like, for fuck's sakes, you've got all your abilities. Do something. Be something. Fucking practice. And if you don't know how to change the strings on your own bass, don't come into my studio, because that tells me everything I need to know about your ability. If you want to be good on bass, learn your instrument. Learn how to maintain it. And by Crom's balls, change your fucking strings more than once every 3 years, you cheap bastard. Oh, and here's one final tip. The easiest way to a great tone is fresh strings. I like to put them on just before recording. But if you're just jamming and you want to save a few bucks, you can bring your bass strings back to life by boiling them. I'm not making this up, it actually works. That way, you can spend your money on what you think is more important than your band, like a new tattoo.